May it please the court. For every action, there are risks and there are costs. On August 18th, 2010, Jesse Duran took the risks and Sydney Park paid the price. You've heard a lot about that day, members of the jury. How Andy Park left home on August 18th not knowing what you now know. Not knowing that Jesse Duran and Sydney Park would find the combination to the Park's gun safe. Type in that combination. Pull out the revolver, load it, and resume to play with it. Until, at some point, the trigger was pulled, killing Sydney Park. On August 18th of 2010, Jesse Duran took the risks and Sydney Park paid the price. Now you might be asking yourselves, if Jesse was the one to do all of these things, why is Hayden Duran on trial today? Well, as Mr. Bild said earlier in today's case, any actions by Jesse Duran are imputed or given to Hayden Duran for an intentional shooting case such as this. Hayden Duran is responsible for the acts of Jesse Duran on August 18th of 2010. Now we must prove this to you as an intentional shooting by a preponderance of the evidence. Meaning very simply, more likely than not. Imagine all of the testimony of today on a set of scales. You put different weight to those scales, based on biases, based on credibility, based on reliability. If the scales tip ever so slightly in our favor, the weight of a feather in our favor, you must find Hayden Duran liable for the death of Sydney Park. So, what exactly do we have to prove? As Mr. Bild said earlier, we must prove 4 elements. The first 2, everyone agrees on. They're not contested. Now the second 2 being that Jesse Duran acted with intent on August 18th of 2010, and that Sydney Park suffered harm as the direct and proximate cause of Jesse's intentional acts. That can be somewhat confusing, so let me explain what intent is. Intent doesn't mean the traditional form of what we think of as intent. Rather, it has a second definition. Intent means that a person acts knowing that the consequence is substantially likely to result. Now, direct and proximate cause. It means if not for the acts of Jesse Duran on August 18, 2010, Sydney Park would still be alive. So, very simply, members of the jury, we must prove that Jesse Duran took the risks and Sydney Park paid the price for those risks. We've proven this by a preponderance of the evidence through our 3 witnesses. First, you heard from Jules Sebastian, the lead forensic investigator, Breckenridge County, who told us that Jesse Duran's arm, based on GSR evidence, was fully or near fully outstretched at the time the gun went off. He told you this is consistent, to an extent, with an intentional act, based on how GSR evidence is displayed on a person's body after the fact. Now you also heard that it was very clear that Jesse Duran was the one who loaded that weapon. There was no dispute. Jesse Duran admitted on the stand that he loaded the weapon. But why would he do this? Why would he end up taking the risks that would end up killing Sydney Park? Dr. Emerson Couples took the stand and told you exactly why and how Jesse could take these risks. Jesse is a juvenile psychopath meaning that he's able to take risks that others wouldn't without any regard to the consequences, without any regard to who he hurt. He also told you that Jesse Duran is capable of gratuitous lying. Now, Jesse Duran actually took the stand today, and he was very emotional. He was able to tell you that this was an accident. I just caught it with my 2 hands. I didn't mean to. But members of the jury, what's more likely than not? Is it more likely than not that a child psychologist with decades of research got his diagnosis wrong, and that a lead forensic investigator with over a decade of experience got his investigation wrong in regards to GSR evidence and in regards to a diagnosis of juvenile psychopathy? Or is it more likely that Jesse is lying to you? Members of the jury, this is that guiltless lying. Jesse Duran wrote this post-shooting statement on August 18, 2010, saying, "No one ever told me how dangerous guns could be." It's simply not true. This is that guiltless lying. He told you that it was both their ideas, Sydney's and Jesse's, to play with that gun. Kind of wishing I hadn't told you that by Sydney Park sent the morning of August 18th, 2010, in regards to the gun. Members of the jury, we have documented evidence that Jesse is lying. What's more likely than not? You heard from Miss Ellis, who was able to tell you that Jesse knew about guns. Jesse knew the dangers. Jesse knew what guns did. He knew the consequences were substantially likely to result when he loaded that revolver and he played with it. But not only that, he's lying to you about what happened. We will never know what exactly happened because the only person who can respond to Jesse Duran's claims is dead. She was killed the morning of August 18th. She was taken from her family because Jesse Duran took the risks. And Sydney Park was the one who paid the price. For that reason, at the end of today's trial, you must find Hayden Duran liable for Sydney Park's death.